Hello, security property first. In this case, well, it's because we have nice fractions. It wouldn't have mattered if we did it or not. But I'm gonna do it. That's because that's how we've been doing it anyway. So multiply, we get negative 20 over 9, right? The first two. And if we multiply again, I get negative 4/3, and I'm not forgetting the variable today. We can clear the fractions, right? We can clear the denominators, I'm sorry. We can multiply everything by 9 times 9 times 9. This one, obviously, we simplify, we get negative 16. That 9 and that 9 will simplify again, we get negative 20. That 9 and 3 simplifies to 3, and 3 times 4 is negative 12. And if you look at it right now, I have a variable n, which is being multiplied to negative 12, and then subtract 20. Somehow, it's giving me negative 16. What did I start with? Well, we're going to do plus 20 on both sides, and then divide both sides by negative 12. Let's see if that works. What is it? Plus 20 first. Plus 20 over here. Plus 20 over here. By doing that, I get rid of this constant right here. This negative 20 goes away, right? And I'm one step closer to isolating my variable. So I get negative 12n. And over here, negative 16 plus 20 in my book is plus 4. So just 4. Divide both sides by negative 12 accomplishes the second thing I want to do, which is get rid of the coefficient here, right? Negative 12. And I am left with coefficient of 1, which is what I want. So negative 12 divided by negative 12 gives me 1, or just n. And then over here, and that's going to give me 1 over 3 negative. What do you call it? No, that's it. Let's check. Negative 16 over 9 equals negative 4 over 3 and 5 over 3 plus, and I'm going to put that in parentheses in a fraction. Okay. This is where I substituted. Negative 16 over 9, I can combine like terms inside the parentheses, so let me make that, what's that? So keep the denominator, add the numerators. 5 plus negative 1 is just 5 minus 1, or we just write 4. Uh-oh, where's the variable? Okay, sorry. I may have nightmares from yesterday. Then negative 16 over 9 equals, and if we multiply this, it's a negative times a positive, which is a negative. 4 times 4 is 16, and 3 times 3 is 9. Thank you. That was nice and simple. So that one was number 8. Number 16. Negative half times 2 3x minus 3/4 minus 7 over 2x equals, need glasses, negative 83 over 24. Ugh, I'm already not liking the numbers. Make sure I copied everything okay. All right, so let's do the distributive property. And I'm going to get negative 2 over 6x. Actually, sorry, I should have simplified. So the 2 and the 2 simplifies, and I'm just left with 1/3 x, right? Make my life easier. Negative and negative is a positive, and then here 1/2 times 3/4, nothing gets simplified, so I just get 3 over 8 minus 7 over 2x. Negative 83 over 24. You could combine this guy and this guy here, both x's. I don't want to. I'm going to combine them after I clear the fractions, the denominators, I'm sorry. And to clear that, I'm going to multiply everyone by 24, because that's the least common multiple. Let's do the easy side first, which is the right side. 24 simplifies, crosses out, simplifies to 1, and I'm left with negative 83. On the right side, 23 times negative 1/3 x is just negative 8x. 24, I said 23, I meant 24. 24 times 3/8 is going to be 9. And then 24 times negative 7 over 2, 24 divided by 2 is 12. And 12 times 7 is 84. So that gives me 84x. Did I do that right? 24 divided by 2 is 12. Yeah, okay. Looks right. Combine like terms. I can combine this guy over here with this guy over here. And I'm going to get 92, negative 92x plus 9 equals negative 83. Story time. X is my variable. We'll multiply it by negative 92. We'll add 9 to it, and that's going to magically give me negative 83. So what number did I start with? Well, I'm going to subtract 9 from each side and divide both sides by negative 92. Okay, so again, let's do that. Subtract 9 here, subtract 9 here. Those two go away. My constant is, get rid of the constants on the right side. We're left with just a coefficient term in front of the x, and this is negative 92. Oh, thank you. It looks like a pretty number. Divide both sides by negative 92, and we get x equals 1. Wow, talk about nice answer. So x equals 1. I'm going to go back to the original equation. Allow me to erase all that. You can pause. I'm just going to. So if x equals 1, and let me take that out over here. We're going to replace everything here that has an x, and I'll put a 1 here. And there is another x here. I'm going to put 1 over here. Right, because that x was my value. So let me highlight where I substitute. I substituted here. And I replace the x. So that should give me, on the right side, I already know what that is. It's negative 83 over 24. I'm just going to stretch it out a couple more lines. So let's see if I can simplify 3 lines. Negative a half times everything that's in the parentheses. So it's 2/3 times 1. It's just 2/3. And then I'm going to subtract 2/3 minus 3/4. Right, so if I do that, common denominators would be 12. 4 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. Minus, and 7 over 2 times 1 is just 7 over 2. Change colors. Negative a half, and inside the parentheses I can finally subtract. It's over 12, and n minus 9 is just negative 1. Minus 7 over 2, right? I can finally multiply these two. And I'm going to get that negative a half times negative a half times 1 over 12. I can't simplify anything, but it's going to give me positive 1 over 24. And to that, we're going to subtract 7 over 2. Now, okay, so 24. So again, on the right side, still negative 83 over 24. On the right side, let's subtract this. In order to subtract this, I have to find a common denominator, which is going to be 24. To the 1, I do nothing, but here it's times 12 gets me 24. So I multiply the top by 12, and I get negative 84, right? So that's the equivalent fraction. Well, now it's just a matter of subtracting, and I think we have good news. So, sorry, I shouldn't have. It's already a minus. Sorry about that. It should have been like that. 24, we keep. We subtract the numerators. 1 minus 84 is just simply that. All right, 2 for 2. And then what's the next number? So let me look at it. It's 26. 26. Ugh. 7 over 2. 5/3 A plus 1/3 equals 11 over 4th A plus 25 over 8. Okay. Okay, so let's multiply that. These two, and then these two. I'm going to get negative 35A over 6, and then negative times a positive against a negative. 7 times 1 is 7, and 2 times 3 is 6. Equals 11 over 4A plus 25 over 8. I will now clear the bottom denominators. I'm going to multiply everything by 24 again. It looks 12, yeah, 24. Multiply this side by 24. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 4 times 35 is just 140. 25 times 24 divided by 6 again is 4 times 7 is 28. Right side, 24 divided by 4 is 6 times 11, 66A. And then 24 divided by 8 is 3, and that 25 gives me 75. Okay. There are two variables, one on each side, so let's get rid of the small one. Again, you're free to get rid of whatever you want, but I choose to do the small one. So, in order to get rid of minus 148, the additive inverse is 148. So I add 148 both sides. Those two go away. I'm left with negative 28. And on this side, that's 206A plus 75. Story time again. I have a number I'm thinking of. I'm multiplying that by 206. I'm going to add 75 and then subtract, and that's going to give me negative 28. To figure out what I started with, I'm going to subtract 75 on both sides and then divide both sides by 206. And if you look at it, it kind of makes sense, right? Again, remember, we want a all by itself, and in order to do that, 75 has to go away and the 206 has to go away. So let's see, we're going to subtract both sides by 75. And that goes away. I'm left is now 206a here, and that is, I'm going to get 103 negative. Okay. So the next thing I'm supposed to do is divide both sides by 206. That by 206. A is all I have left, which is what I wanted to begin with, and this I can simplify to negative a half. So my answer is negative a half. Not that bad, right? You can change it to decimal. I wouldn't though, but I'm just saying you can. Let me erase everything. I go back to the original equation. What's the original equation? That's the original equation? Really? Okay. And we're going to replace the a with negative a half. If memory serves me well. So negative 7 over 2, 5 over 3 times, I'll put that in parentheses, negative a half plus 1/3 equals 11 over 4 times negative a half, which I can put in parentheses, plus 25 over 8. And hopefully. So highlight what I substituted. I substituted here, and I substituted here. Okay. All right, let's see if this ugliness becomes a little bit prettier. Let me do the easier side, which is, to me, the right side. Multiplying, right? So it's going to be negative. 11 times 1 is 11, and 4 times 2 is 8, and then plus 25 over 8, so that makes it a little bit easy. Keep the denominator, right? Then we add the numerators. Negative 11 plus 25 is positive 14, which we can simplify to 7 over 4. I'm not going to change it to a mixed number unless necessary. Now over here, we have to multiply these two over here, right? There's a little times button there. So negative 7 over 2, which is outside the parentheses, going to just wait a little bit. If I multiply these two, I get negative 5 over 6 plus 1/3, right? I'm going to obviously find the common denominator between negative 5 and 6 because I have to add that. So negative 5 over 6 is going to stay, but 1/3 I'm going to change it to something over 6. So the equivalent fraction for 1/3 in terms of 6 is going to be, well, it's times 2, so the top times 2, it's 2/6. I can now add inside the parentheses, right? I can combine those. Negative, so we're going to keep the fraction. Sorry, keep the denominator. Add the numerators. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative something 3. Okay, so far so good. Final step over here. Hopefully, final step. It's a negative times a negative, which is a positive. 7 times 3 is 21. And at the bottom, 2 times 6 is 12. And can we simplify that? Can we divide that? Is that the same thing as 7 over 4? Are they equivalent to each other? Are they equal to each other? Well, it's 21 over 12. We can simplify. We can divide 21 by 3, which gives me 7. We can divide 12 by 3, which gives me 4. And look at that. I mess up today. And that's okay. So that's it. You have a good weekend.